Ah. Copy stream key. OBS. Settings. Stream key. Paste. Apply. Okay. All right. Well, that's green. Now I'm just, there it is. All right, sweet. Sorry about all that. I had to deal with some technical hiccups last night. But long story short, everything's working now. Hey, John, how you doing today?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. So, let's see. I did the newest episode of The Bad Batch. Finally, I saw it literally at like 2 a.m. last night. Like the thumbnail for the episode just like wasn't even there. It was just like the random Disney thumbnail, I guess. Like it was still uploading or uploaded and processing when I like actually accessed the episode. I saw it like on the dot. And yeah, long story short, I saw it because I forgot a particular capture card I needed to actually get the gameplay footage. And I had to run all the way to my apartment and then back somewhere else to get it. But, whew, hell of a night.
Little side mission, get the game going, or to get the show going, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. So, oh, I sent you an invite. Did you get it? Did you get the invite? Hello? Dead air.
Checking. Checking now. Yeah, I got it. Yep.
Oh,
got it.
sweet. There we go. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, we have dead air. He's not there. But yeah, what did you? So I saw the episode, and I'd love to get your take on the episode before I go. Personally, long story short, I was happy with it.
Yeah, same here. It's really good. Like we get finally some character development, and we get to see, Wrecker almost destroy everybody. Spoiler alert.
Well, it's okay. Oh, by the way, spoilers, but
you're not listening to this if you haven't watched the show yet, so
yeah.
No
I mean, this is for the
assuming...
hardcore like Star Wars fans. This is more analysis and discussion than review, but also review.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was nice to like progress the story a little bit and not have it like it is kind of like a side mission and shit, but
they were still doing.
They're with Rex. They're following Rex, which is kind of awesome. He's talking to Ahsoka, so there's that. 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 7 degrees of Rex the clone trooper.
7 degrees of
right
Skywalker.
Now. There's literally 1 degree right now between these guys and the Jedi. So
anyone in Skywalker, everybody knows Skywalker.
Well, I'm not worried about Vader, but like Ahsoka's obviously aware of them. So
yeah.
I don't know. It was a good episode, and I found it weird that we do find out. I think we knew in the beginning that Omega doesn't have a chip, but now everybody knows it. Omega doesn't have a chip, and it's like, okay. Like, why does she not have a chip in her head? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Oh, man. Let's see. Yeah, and yeah, it's great. Omega doesn't have a chip, but I wonder if in the end there is one there, or we'll find out later.
Maybe. I mean, they should have thrown her in the machine just to check, but...
Yeah.
Her tech could throw that thing on her head just to double check.
Right.
See what's in there.
Yeah. Well, anyways, having said that, I was trying to fuck with technical shit. So here's what I thought. I liked how Wrecker kind of had his Terminator moments where he basically just went around and anyone who tried to stop him, he knocked him out. And it was definitely kind of like an homage to the Terminator because, he was walking sort of the same way Arnold did towards Omega. He, sort of was unstoppable, and, Wrecker was no longer cute. He was like, oh, I can see why he's scary to an opponent. If that big dude's charging after you, it doesn't matter how much strategy you have. It's like fighting the Flood in fucking Halo. They just keep coming. and
Yeah, he's
you're
like the
not gonna
Hulk,
stop
but
him.
he's got like access to weapons, and he's got armor on.
Yeah,
Back
and he's
away.
strong as fuck.
When he slaps that pistol, I forgot whose hand it was in, but he slaps a pistol out of somebody's hand, and the pistol goes through the wall. Like, oh shit, they're in trouble. Like, they're in a lot of trouble. They were like foreshadowing that for, what was it, 6.5 episodes now? Whenever they,
Yeah. Well, I could tell. Ooh,
they've been kind of leaning on that. It's like, I don't know, it was kind of a nice payoff. It was a quick scene, but it was a nice payoff.
Yeah,
because they were in a lot of trouble.
Well, we knew in the last episode he started going, good soldiers follow order. And I'm like, oh, I kind of wish they stretched out the inhibitor chip thing a little longer and they were like, going to tear each other apart or something like that. That would have been like really interesting. Because, well, I guess I could give a quick recap of the episode. I was going to say episode. But the episode, which basically I think the crew, we'll just call them that, the Bad Batch, the crew, whatever, they're sent out sort of like on a mission to retrieve something. You know how it goes with these shows. And on that, during that mission, they run into a guy who, spoiler alert, is Rex. And,
Hey, it looks familiar.
And then Rex basically tells them, you have this inhibitor chip, you need to get this out of your brain, you have no idea how dangerous it is, blah, 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 blah. And then at one point, Wrecker, his chip goes off, he tries to kill everyone, but luckily they get it out of his head. But then at the very end of the episode, we find out the Empire has been spying on them, and they're going to come after them. And if I'm going to go into our crazy wild theories, I think in the long run, it's going to lead to the Bad Batch leading to Clone Revolution. And then they'll all be destroyed by the Death Star. Death Star laser. The final words you'll hear from them is, you may fire when ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm still leaning on the fact that all the clones were called back to Camino for a reason. We don't know exactly what that reason was.
Oh, shit, they were?
I'm still thinking that they were all called back there specifically to get murdered.
Oh, God.
Tarkin was like, yeah, we're done with these guys. We're just going to call them back to where they were built and, just turn them all off, basically. Similar to what they were doing with the droids.
Yeah.
Just, in human and flesh form.
Yeah. I mean,
just turn these guys off.
That could be a good scene, but I really just want to see a scene of just like mass like extinction and the clones to rise up, because there's so many ways you can go. I don't want them to just come in and all of a sudden be like, where are our brothers? And he's like, look at these tubes, those are our brothers, and then that's it. But I mean, having said that, I think like maybe they're doing some, like, I didn't know they were calling them all the Camino. Did they say that in this episode?
I did that in the first episode. That's why everybody was there.
Oh, yeah, when they're like in the cafeteria and shit. Yeah, they're evaluating to see if they're still, if they want to keep them or not.
Yeah, and that's like why Tarkin threw the Bad Batch into that, testing chamber or whatever, had them go up against live ammunition. The Bad Batch literally, like, stopped the clone termination sequence, or whatever you want to call it, from happening just by getting through that alive, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into the show, but it's like they literally like stopped the annihilation of the clones, or at least held it off because they didn't die. When they were tested in the first episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they were good.
Tarkin's brutal, man. He's not messing around.
That's true. Because I was thinking, like, if those clones could survive, he could see how they're still useful.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious why he didn't just like why he didn't like keep them, but then again, because it's expensive,
exactly.
I guess, which is like,
exactly. It's like, what are we gonna do with these guys? It's like they're useless, but the Bad Batch proved that maybe they're not all useless, and it's bought them a couple of months.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, that's why.
But this episode, what did actually happen was pretty fun.
Oh yeah. Because they started getting into, like, what's going to happen with these guys. They know about this chip. We know Rex is coming in. Clearly leading into Rebels. Was Rex the same person on the hologram from last week at the end of the week, or was that just, like, Ahsoka? Because we all know the mechanic.
It looked like a similar robe, so.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of a cheat, like, oh, you thought it was a Jedi, but it's not!
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got the same robe. I'm thinking it was Rex, but we'll see. We don't know. And these guys, like, to touch on that, like, the Bad Batch still don't know who they're working for. for the most part. You know, Omega gives them a weird look when they do they ask like the Grogu question. They're like, what does the boss want with this thing? They're like, I don't know. It's gonna make it a soup, or they're gonna make it a pet. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. It's like, you guys got to start thinking about that.
Yeah. What are they doing with Grogu?
Can't just like. Well, I'm just meaning it was like a similar situation. Whatever the pet was that they got in the beginning.
This is all just
like,
a lead up to Palpatine.
Yeah.
This is all what it is.
They're still that big too.
Yeah. Stupid. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm gonna run and like charge at these droids and just fuck them all up. And I died. See, I knew that would happen. Worth it. Anyways, but yeah, I do want to see how their relationship develops from there. Obviously, we know the Empire is gonna hunt them, and probably the rest of the series is gonna be Crosshair, basically like helping the Empire kill the clone or try to take out the Bad Batch, because they see they're joining the sort of rebellion/revolution. And then I'm gonna guess at one point Crosshair is gonna have a change of heart when, you know, there's like a couple lines like, Crosshair, don't forget who you are. You're our brother, or something like that. And he'll be like, you're right, I am. And then like he'll go and defend the Bad Batch and go against the Empire, which is kind of where I think it would go, because it falls in line with that sort of Disney-esque writing. You know, where, you know, everything is easily answered and, oh, let's go forward and great things are gonna happen, which is fine. It's Star Wars. You know, but I'm gonna guess that's where it goes. That's why I can forgive like a lot of cliches writing and stuff, because it's a kid's show. You know, we can do this, brothers. And it's still fun.
And it does kind of seem that they're gonna like, hopefully with the Empire now actually knowing where they are, like they're gonna hit the gas pedal on this series and, you know, like really move the story forward, and just like, oh shit, you know, the Empire's on their ass. You know, that's, you know, it took them 7 episodes to get to this point.
Yeah,
we're pretty much at the midway point right now through the series, but
yeah, they're gonna fight a bunch of conscripted soldiers and kill them.
They're kicking it up a notch. Yep.
Like you're gonna, because you saw those like those conscripted soldiers, I think like in the second episode or something like that. And they were basically just like a bunch of like, they were like the MAGA version of Star Wars. They just believe in like crazy, like, you know, first order shit. And that's what they get. They get gullible idiots to put on a, you know, oh wow, you know. That might be a very meta conversation right there about war in general, but I think that's one that, you know, I don't know if they'd ever really tackle that or not. That'd be interesting if they did, though. I mean,
that's kind of what they're doing. Now. It's like they built these clones and droids to fight each other. Like the Emperor did that for a reason. He's already scrapped the droids, right? Like they're already gone for the most part. We literally saw them get melted down in the last couple episodes. And then the idea to like get rid of the clones, you know, maybe that's been staved off for a couple of months here, thanks to the Bad Batch, or whatever what we were just talking about. Yeah. And then now it's going to be like the transition, like we've been talking about this whole series that we've been talking, like you made the point, it's like stormtroopers and clone troopers, like how did that change come in? And you just like hinted at it without even knowing you said it. It's like we're going to see stormtroopers from the Empire come and hunt clones down. Yeah. For the rest of this series.
And the stormtroopers are going to get their asses kicked.
Fucking fascinating. That's going to be fascinating. Seriously.
Yeah. Because there's so many places we can go, because we're not talking about, you know, a Skywalker or anything like that. Because, you know, this is something totally different. This is something about the actual expanded universe, right? You know, I mean, sure, everyone still has 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, you know, with the Skywalkers, because Ahsoka knows Luke, I'm sure, like, yeah, and Rex knew that day, like, he knew, you know, Anakin and blah, 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 so, but still, at least it's someone who's totally different from that. I'd love to see sort of a meta sort of commentary about how some people sign up for war just because they're crazy and they want to kill people, you know?
Well, that's what I was saying, like, the stormtroopers are another level. They're like a bunch of mercenaries that are hired by the Empire to just go out and hunt down trained clones. Like they have, you know what I mean? It's like anybody who signs up to stand behind Crosshair and his stormtroopers is going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And know what they're doing with the weapon. You know what I mean? It's like they're basically hiring like a. Yeah, exactly.
He's a born clone. I mean, those clones were born to kill. They're millions upon millions or billions maybe of Boba Fett's.
Right.
You know, Jango Fett's. Sorry. I mean, kind of Boba Fett's because Boba Fett was a clone, but in a way. Yeah. Now that they have, it just seems like this is a classic tale of pride coming before the fall. You know, if they kept those guys, they would have been fine. I don't care how many Death Stars you build or Star Destroyers, none of it is more powerful than a good soldier. You know, especially when they follow orders. And unfortunately, the Empire's going, no, I can wipe everything out with this one laser. What could possibly go wrong? It's like, well, you could leave a clear open shaft that someone can exploit and blow up, and then in your next ultimate weapon, you leave a clearer opening for someone to blow up. Again, they're evil,
thinking, are
but
they gonna...
make mistakes. Even the Emperor's an idiot and makes mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, he made a couple.
Yeah.
He did make a couple. Or, I mean, he allowed Anakin to make a couple. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He allowed Anakin to create a couple. They got away from him.
Yeah. Should have kept an eye on those kids.
Yeah. And it's like, you hid your kid on Tatooine and you named him Skywalker. Come on, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part always bugs me in the back of my mind. But you got, for the rest of Star Wars, you gotta let that shit slide.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they didn't know there was a Skywalker there, the rest of the galaxy. But yeah, they could have given him a different last name.
Or not left him with his aunt and uncle, his literal aunt and uncle.
Just call him Luke Beru.
Right. How did Vader never visit? I don't know.
Oh, how did he never visit Tatooine again? Probably because I think he wanted to emotionally distance himself from everything that was his past.
Yeah.
I would love to see just, I don't know, a 30-minute Darth Vader episode of him just sulking. Just. Well,
I mean, he's the leader of the Stormtroopers. We might see him in this. I mean, we're definitely going to see him in this series.
I think I'm going to see him in Obi-Wan.
I don't know if he's going to have a better entrance that he does in
Rebels.
What is it, Rebels? That is
when he comes an entire ship.
No, where he comes down. He comes down on the roof of his TIE fighter.
Oh yeah.
At the temple.
Yeah.
That is oh my goodness. That is seriously the epitome of Vader. He's standing on top of his own ship and just lowering into that temple area to fight Ahsoka, and she's like,
Well, the nice thing is Disney, and they'll milk that nostalgia. So I think, I think you'll get a pretty sweet Vader entrance. But before we get into the live action stuff because I know I can get lost in that. One thing I am liking with this show is that it's taking its time, like the Clone Wars did, in telling a story. Something unlike the sequels did. And again, it's like Filoni's not directly writing it himself because he's got bigger fish to fry now. He's worked his way up to the live action stuff. But what I'm seeing here is fun. I just hope it's not just too much of the same, too many infiltration missions where they just change it up but in this infiltration mission, they remove the inhibitor chip. In this infiltration mission, this guy finds this guy. Whatever. Stop infiltrating places.
Yeah.
They're going to infiltrate Camino, They're definitely going to infiltrate Camino in one episode. And be like, okay, why didn't they go to Camino to remove the inhibitor chip? That's what I didn't get. Because it was just filled with clones who didn't like them.
You can't get in and out of there. It's impossible.
Yeah. I mean,
if they looked like everybody else, they could do it. But they don't look like everybody else. They would stand out sore thumbs.
How'd they get out in the pilot episode? No, they sent them on a mission. That was it. and then they just didn't come back or some shit. I don't know.
Well, they got like, yeah, and then they got like captured on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Stole the ability to hide their ship from scanners.
Yeah.
Which I'm still convinced they eventually give to the Rebel Alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, a lot of this shit's gonna lead. Yeah. A lot of this shit's gonna lead into Rebels because it's literally like the one tiny slither of history like that hasn't been explored in Star Wars yet. And luckily, because it is a cartoon, you can kind of screw around with a few more episodes and then get back to the meat and potatoes and take your time with it because there's not huge expectations like something like Obi-Wan or The Mandalorian would have. And this is more of a niche sort of like Star Wars show like everyone else. They can take the time to really sort of flesh out what they want to do, how they want to explore things. Because, like, maybe in a couple seasons they could be like, yeah, let's have the stormtroopers be like these dumb soldiers, but unlike the good soldiers who were supposed to follow orders who were rising against us, these morons will. And that's essentially what it's all going to be, because the whole show focuses around good soldiers follow orders, which, thank God Filoni wrote that. Because initially it made no sense that, you know, the Emperor gave, well, who was the other guy? Not Rex, the guy who was with Obi-Wan when they shot him off the cliff.
Wolf, maybe? I don't know.
Cody, that was it. It was Cody.
Oh, Cody.
Yeah, he was with Cody, and, you know, it made no sense in that movie when Cody's like, oh, here's your lightsaber, I'm your friend, and then, like, literally 2 seconds later, the Emperor tells them, execute Order 66, and he tells them to shoot him. Like, I don't think George had the whole inhibitor chip thing in mind. That was Filoni later. Which, thank God, they have time to work on this stuff. It's like fan fiction, but it's actually developing on screen. And because of lower expectations, they get easier.
Not to like knock the series, I don't really know how else to say it, but when you do look at Star Wars, like even the original like series, I know people are gonna kill me for fucking saying any of it, but like most of it is like pretty hollow, and that's where the like animation and the like these live action TV shows come in and like they really fill in the gaps and like make you understand why like major things in the movies like just are major. You know what I mean? It's like we put a lot of stock into some shit because it like it's nostalgic, it's like cool looking, you know, it sounds awesome when TIE fighters get blown up or whatever, you know, Death Star getting blown up look cool, but like the animation and the TV shows like really flush out like why like this shit is like so important and like why Anakin did what he did and like why he got so mad in that third episode when he wasn't made master and blah blah blah, you know. Who is Ahsoka? All this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And it just you know, these live action and the animation especially just like fills in the gaps of Star Wars and makes it so much more interesting.
Yeah. That is a hard word
as a whole.
phonemically to pronounce. But
and I'm like trying not to die over here. So.
Yeah, that too. I'm like trying to talk about something, and then there's like a million guys shooting lasers at me, and I'm like, oh god, I have to sound smart right now. But oh shit, and that guy almost shot me right there. But yeah, to get on back on track, I mean, the whole idea of film is that it's a vehicle for empathy and understanding. And you know, you could see a guy's life who might be in the middle of like Afghanistan, and you could relate to him on some level, right? And with Star Wars, you know, the thing is, it's hollow, but you could understand at least with the original films, like character motivations. You could feel bad for them, you know, when Luke finds out that Vader is his father. Spoilers, I guess.
And I don't mean like hollow in like a bad way.
No,
like,
I totally know what you mean. I'm
you
saying
that that like chocolate Easter bunny or that chocolate Santa, and it's hollow. It's chocolate. It's delicious, but it's just like just missing like just something.
Yeah.
Like the dots aren't connected. Like one side isn't really connected to the other part of it, and that's where like the rest of it. That's where like the animation comes in for me. So I don't mean hollow as in like there's no substance to it. That's not what I mean at all.
Oh no, I know. What I meant is like.
And I've made that point before. Like the animation and shit like really connects the dots. like makes everything like way even heavier when you go back and see the original films, or even they're really trying to like build their way to make the sequels make sense, I think, with this series. And you know, they did a lot with the Clone Wars series, especially to make the prequels make sense. And I don't know, it's just something that you don't get from watching the Star Wars movies, which I do love. Don't get me wrong, people. It's just a different thing I'm trying to say.
Well, no. Well, I think the point you're trying to make, and the one I was saying, is that in film you have to condense everything.
Yes.
And you also have to empathize with everyone. So
and you have to ask people to make giant leaps of faith.
Yeah.
You know, and just go along with the storytelling and.
Yeah.
You know.
And when those prequels, I think, try to establish too much world building and not enough with the characters, that sort of was his fault. So we didn't care about the clones or the, you know, who Toady was or any of that, because it was like, who cares? They're just expendable. But with television, you have, you know, hundreds of episodes to go over this stuff, and it's still a kid's show.
Flush out these characters and like give personalities to hundreds of different of clones.
Yes.
And you've touched on that many times in the show. It's like, who are these guys? Like, who cares? You know, blah blah blah. And this show in particular, and the Clone Wars, like, focuses on the clones, and it's like, okay, they weren't just a bunch of robots running around killing people. Like, they were people.
Yeah.
They
were
weren't
people
a bunch
who
of
were
robots.
manipulated.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you really want to think about the clones, it's an allegory for slavery. You know, if you really want to get into it. Because, I mean, the clones were these guys who are basically sold as soldiers and used to basically do the tasks that nobody else wants to do. And they have to be happy doing it. They have to serve their master, which is the Emperor. That's probably a controversial statement, but it's sort of an allegory for slavery and war, where we're fighting basically for no particular reason. The separatists and the clones, it didn't matter in the end. They were just fighting because they were built to fight. And then when it's over, they don't know what to do. So they go find more fights to join, right? And, you know, it's Star Wars. It's still going to have the sort of easy style. Because, like, we make this sound like these cartoon shows are My Dinner with Andre or something.
No.
Which, you know, they're not. They're cartoon shows. There's a lot of fighting and stuff like that. And you're going to get that with the live action stuff. It's just going to be fighting,
We complained a lot about it.
And then a little bit of talking in between.
Dumbass side missions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, that's okay. That's Star Wars. That's fundamentally what it is. It's a little bit of substance and a lot of action. Even The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, there's that one pivotal scene. And I think thematically, that one was the most consistent. Because we equally cared about what was going on with Han and, well, what was going on? Well, you know, Han was frozen. What was going on with Leia and all those guys as we were with Luke. You know, and that's why it worked. But in between all that, it was mostly action. Although I'd say, no, Empire had the most talking, and that's why we like that one the most. I want something with more talking. Give me more talking scenes. But it's a cartoon show, so we're not going to get that. Which, okay, for the Bad Batch, it doesn't apply.
Well, and Empire was like one of the only ones that actually knew what it was. It felt like.
Yeah.
You know, there was the jokes. There was like that, like, crazy twist at the end. You know, there was like the nightmare scenario where there was this huge dude with all these powers chasing down this child. You know, it's like, oh my god! But it was like, and it was like the only one that was like, I don't know, like really, really aware of itself being a Star Wars movie. Because they were just like, all right, you know, let's just throw all this crazy, you know.
Well, here's the thing.
That's probably why we love it so much.
It's a little bit of the opposite.
Like, that's the best one.
It's a little bit the opposite. It's aware that it's a Star Wars movie, right? But, well, no, I would say this. Here's what I'm trying to say. It was aware of what it was completely, which was the middle act, the drama, the meat. And Star Wars sort of came, not kind of. This is going to be controversial, but it came second, because when Empire first came out, if I were to understand from George Lucas's audio commentary on the DVD way back, people didn't like it because they didn't understand why it was so dark and sad and moody. And look at what happened years later. people loved it, right? And that's because that movie was tonally aware of what it was going to be. Lucas knew he wanted it to be the drama, and that's why he hired Irving Kershner, who was his teacher, I believe, at USC at one particular point, who was well versed in drama. And even Kershner said, "Why are you giving this action movie to me?" And he's like, "Because you know how to play the dramatic side of things." And I'm hoping Obi-Wan to be that. And I know that Bad Batch won't be that, which is cool. Cartoon show, dig it. You get all the meat and potatoes in between the fighting. Obi-Wan, I want to see what they're going to do. Did you, I think I sent you an article jumping into, after this episode, I give this episode I'd say 3 Guinnesses. If you were to give this a 4-star rating, what would you give this episode?
Solid 3, yeah. 3 out of 4. It was good. It was good, but it wasn't awesome, and it was it did finally progress the story in ways that, we knew were coming, and we were we've been saying, something's going on with Wrecker, blah, 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 and Rex, really tried to hit it home with them, how important it was, so they went to a scrapyard. Yeah. It was and barely got those things out, just like when he had his out. He, barely got it out, just in time, and, a handful of other clones also. It's just you guys, this is super serious. I'm super serial here, you guys.
I'm serial.
But yeah, no, it was definitely 3 out of 4. Good, decent enough action and enough of a hint towards the rest of the series where it's okay, the Empire knows exactly where they are and they're in trouble. Haters on them, crosshairs on them. Yeah. What's next, y'all? I'm excited for the rest of the series. We're pretty much at the midway point, and it's going to get good.
We're 7 episodes in, so we'd have about, 7, maybe 8 more to go?
It's a 9 episodes, or I'm sorry, it's a 16 episode series. There's 9 more, but the first one was a movie. I'm assuming the last one is a big deal, possibly even an hour long or so. So 2. It was an hour and a half. It was great. It was fantastic. So I'm counting 2 through 15 as the bulk of it, and we are right now in the middle. Yeah, exactly.
I hope this thing doesn't drag out like a Clone Wars did.
I don't think so. I think they learned their lesson. I think you're right. Yeah. I don't think so.
Well, the Clone Wars also that was just a show they were fucking around with, and it was just kid shit. So for them to say, "Hey, let's give you kid shit,"
Yeah.
And eventually, you could do more shit. It's well, now I can kill kids. Let's have them all and nail them down. But yeah, now I really hope that this thing is only 1 or 2 seasons, because I kind of like what Disney's doing with these shows, where it's no, it's just a little mini series and then movies. I think that's way better.
Brothers,
it's kind of
we're ready to strike at one of the core separatist planets. Get ready.
We fight, we win!
Let's go, brothers. The attack will continue when we've taken a droid command.
Well, in the way that this show is connected to the live action too, it's just brilliant the way that they're going about it. It's not only connected to the movies, obviously, but it's connected to the live action TV shows. It's got, Fennec. What is it? Fennec Shand is the the bounty hunter that's chasing him down and kills a whole bunch of people in that episode. So it's they're doing a great job of just building their own Star Wars universe within the Star Wars universe that we already know. They're adding all these extra characters, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like Ewan McGregor. It's making me, this whole situation is making me really love Star Wars again in a way that I didn't think was possible after those last 3 movies, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I always thought,
And they could do anything they want. And I'm super thankful to them for doing what they're doing with the television. It's streaming, whatever, but it's TV. It's not a movie. It's not no. They're doing good stuff. I'm like trying not to die and like losing train of thought. And the usual.
Like the new 3D sort of background.
The honor of our brother.
Oh, it's got to be so much more helpful for the actors. I mean, that the actors in a green screen situation, there's literally nothing for them to act against. They just have to look at. I mean, how do you pick a dot on the green wall to stare at? Like, it's impossible. So it gives them something to react off of. It gives them, you know, they're in that situation. You know, they're in that environment, so they can react to it. It's like, oh, I'm a little chilly, so I can see that there's snow, so I'm going to act accordingly. You know, it's like, it's just got to be like such a whole different world, especially for somebody like him that's been around for a while and now has been through the process of both. That, oh my goodness, it's going to be so much better for the actors, especially.
It's funny because I think good actors can act through it, and that's why I think Ewan McGregor could act through it.
That's why he was so good, but everybody else was so bad.
Well, like,
Like, serious. Natalie Portman was really good. Yes. The acting from the actors was amazing, but the acting from the people that were just getting started was not so great. And it's not their fault. We've touched on that before. Like, it's not totally their fault.
Well, I think it's a little. People are gonna hate me for saying this, but I think it's a little bit of Hayden's fault.
This is the last time Cody.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he read the lines, but like if he was to read the lines and not have to look at a green screen to try and figure shit out, like maybe a whole different Star Wars, maybe a whole different situation. No, probably not, but.
When he's saying
Yeah.
I saw him killing younglings, you know, and he kind of looked at him and laugh.
Be mindful of your
Or like
surroundings.
when he's looking at the hologram of and, you know, he's just like, oh, it's so terrible. You know, he just looks like he doesn't really care. But then again, that's an example, as you said, where if you give the actor something to look at, and
Oh,
he
I
saw,
don't
like,
think so.
footage of, like,
Should be off babysitting
Yeah.
Boba Fett or
just show
something.
him killing younglings, but you know, off. And you don't know that. And then have you with younger kids. Get a real reaction from him. That's what I do as a director. I do
Maybe
a
if
lot
Rob.
of, like, acting fucking, like, shots. I just, like, really shocked him when I get that reaction.
You and
Yeah, I was fucking showing him.
you and Rob Zombie. Oh boy. Yeah, other news. Speaking of Bosk, Boba Fett has wrapped. That's super good news.
Oh, there was one more thing.
They wrapped filming there. I mean, I'm sure production is going to be a minute, but
I have a plan
filming is
to
done
get
supposedly.
Yeah. Did you hear what Ewan McGregor also said about Yoda? In the article, he said that it's so
Oh,
bad
yeah.
that he
Surely we can be civilized enough.
For as a puppet. Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes to the same thing that goes to the same thing like what we were just talking about. Like, there's nothing to react against. Like, especially with that early CGI crap, like, they went way heavy in, like, facial movements and you know, it's just like, okay, we get it. You can do cool stuff with computers. A puppet would have been so much better. And that's where I think that, like, Mandalorian nailed it right off the bat. They were just like, no, we're using a puppet. The hell with what everybody else thinks. We're using a damn puppet. Screw you guys. It's going to be a puppet.
Anakin, what are you doing here? You were supposed
It's
to
like,
relax
yes.
or something.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how dare, I mean, I don't know. So that last sequence in that last episode when Luke's ship shows up and whatever, like, I still see the look on Grogu's face, and like, my heart is put at ease. like it's like we barely see an X-wing out the window, and then they zoom in on Grogu real quick, which is a puppet, and he has a look on his face, and you know exactly who's in that X-wing, and you see that look on Grogu's face, who is a puppet, and just like that, you know, you couldn't have done that with CGI. It's impossible. You know. Yeah.
You're wasting your time.
We will. We will definitely.
Something else going on. I'm glad to see you're enjoying yourselves.
I mean, Bosk is rumored to be in it, and that's all I need to know. Like, seriously, if he has like a single episode and 2 lines, I'll be happy. Thanks. Oh my goodness. I've been wondering about, because, you know, when we do see a handful of flashbacks in The Mandalorian about his rescue or whatever, I'm wondering if we're going to, like, see that in one of these shows, since you mentioned that. Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, we only see, like, in those flashbacks, we see maybe like a minute's worth of material, so hopefully there's, like, you know, a full episode you know, somewhere here.
Patience only goes so far.
This show isn't going to be, you know, Obi-Wan sulking in a cave, reflecting on where he went wrong with Anakin.
No. He's chilling on Coruscant with Mace Windu. In a cave underground. Hell yeah. Yep, they're gonna restart. They're gonna restart the Jedi Order. Boba Fett's gonna restart the Bounty Hunters Guild. All this, it's like it's rebirth. It's Star Wars rebirth. That's what these episodes. That's what these TV shows are gonna be about.
This is no joke, brothers. We are fast running out of time, and we need to finish this attack.
Oh, I did see Mendelsohn got signed for the what is it, the Kandor show. Ben Mendelsohn is going to reprise his role from Rogue One. He's one of my favorite actors right now. He's amazing. Yes. He's He's coming back. He's the dude with the white cape. Vader's like, you choke on your aspirations.
Oh,
And then he gets choked on his aspirations. Yeah, he's fantastic. Oh, I haven't seen him. Look it up. He's good. He's really good. Yep. They will. When they can stream the whole thing, they will. That's the reality of the environment we're in today. Nobody's gonna watch it until they can watch all of it. Yeah, that was alright. You guys are boring. You guys are boring. Shit's fun to let sink in, everyone. I don't know. Bunch of non-readers out there, let me put it that way. Non-readers.
I'm not gonna get into that territory.
They just don't have they don't have the patience to take their time with anything, is what I'm saying. Not that they're illiterate. Tons of literate people are non-readers. So don't get me wrong. Take your time. Let it sink in. There's so much here. So much fun stuff. Some people grow out of it.
You find yourself in a delicate situation.
God, who thought we'd be nostalgic for the prequels? Who thought we'd ever say that?
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Again, thanks for coming on.
Heck yeah. I mean, I got season 7 lined up. That's coming out real soon. That'll hit the airwaves in fall of this year. Lots of brand new stuff. I mean, every year we come up with 8 episodes per. Sorry, I'm like playing this stupid game instead of promoting. 8 episodes per series, 2 series a year. So there's 16 hours of material every single year, and there's always new shit. So definitely check it out. 47 episodes available right now on Vimeo, which, like you said, we'll throw a we'll throw only 47 1-hour episodes. That's all so far. But yeah, there's so much more coming, and yeah, it's all random stuff all over the place. Short films, fake trailers, music videos, animation, all independent stuff by people that don't have a budget or barely have a budget. They're just like doing it for the art. So check it out. Yeah, no commercials. I can play whatever we want. I don't have to.
Defenses were stiffer than expected. We'll have to leave the planet to the clankers for now, but we'll be back.
I'm like, yeah, I'm playing a fucking Star Wars game. What do you expect? But yeah, no, he's got a lot of and the nice thing is you can just kind of pop in and watch like a part of an episode and pop out. You don't need to know what
Yep. Yeah, and if you.
Like mine,
Oh, it's good. And we do have a couple of Vimeo allows you to create showcases. There's a couple of showcases on there. One of them is all the music video episodes, and there's 9 hours of music videos. So if you're into music, independent music and independent music videos, check that shit out. 9 hours. Yeah.
see how we watched all the Clone Wars. So many filler episodes to have to go through, but luckily this is all exclusive shit. But no, thank you. If you want to check out my shit, you can subscribe here. You know, smash that subscribe button. Smash, smash, smash. Or you could go to ypareviews.com, check out my written stuff. I have a written review for the premiere episode of Loki, which John and I were talking about earlier. It's opening up the multiverse, baby. And
Finally.
I am excited for it.
I think
That's
the
my
biggest
story.
thing for me is that it's like really gonna like explain some of the stuff that I can barely understand, and I've been loving this stuff for like it's gonna explain that like at a base level to like anybody that just like wants to jump into like Marvel right now.
Yeah.
It's like just watch Loki. Like you kind of know who Loki is. He's like, you know, he's kind of a good guy. He's kind of a bad guy. He is like literally an anti-hero. Look that up. But it's oh my god, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
He's Disney's Hannibal Lecter. He's so charming, but he's a horrible murderer. But he's so charming, so we like him.
We find out why though, and it's great to see that fleshed out. It's great to see his character fleshed out because he is, I don't know, he is one of the more interesting characters, and to have, I know we're like stretching the show out, but to have this like one episode of Loki like come in and connect two different Marvel movies and the future of Marvel, because they like tell you what the fucking what the multiverse is. They explain it to you. Even if you're new, they explain exactly what it is. And you're like, oh, okay, and then they explain what the TVA is. They're like, oh, okay, cool. You know, so and I had no idea what any of that crap was, and now I'm like an expert. It's like they explain it at the end, but they explain it. In the first episode, they explain it, and they explain it well. You know, and it's
And I was on Ian Simmons' podcast, which please subscribe to PixiePodcast.com. But I was on Ian Simmons' podcast, and he was saying that he loved how basically this show, or basically like going through the crevices, it's like going
Yep.
deep into the lore, where maybe the typical person wouldn't go.
Totally.
It's the same thing like we're talking about the show. Avengers Endgame and understand what the hell's going on. Because you have to see what the soldiers this that, this guy's not that guy, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you have to see, you know, Captain America Civil War, and then you have to see, like, Thor Ragnarok, and it all connects, like one big comic book. You know? Kind of what they did with
Oh, this is going to be easy.
the Bad Batch through the Mandalorian to the until they have established characters.
Please,
that we
no
all like,
deep
and then, hey,
disintegration
you don't
this
like
time.
these characters? Let's make a trilogy! You know, and that's how it was. Okay. Cool. Anyways,
It seems I've gotten into quite a mess now, haven't I?
Go to ypareviews.com, or you'll probably agree. Let us know if you agree with our opinions on the show, where this is going, if we just sound like Disney hired us to say nice things about the show, whatever.
No way.
Yeah, they know. Well, they didn't. Helpful if I got it. They're like, hey, the episode came